Welcome to a new episode of Patent Effect Podcast. So this is Mustafa, as you know. I'm recording this podcast in Berlin after the heavy rain in the morning, but now the sky is clear and the sun shining, and I'm really happy that because just after the podcast session recording, I will go out for a walk. So I am looking forward to talk with my guest today in a special topic, and then I will become a free and then I think I spent 1 hour for a walk in the forest today. So as you know that we are hosting very distinguished friends and colleagues who are the sponsors of the Turkish Patent Landscape Report for the last year. So one of our sponsors, premium sponsors, was the Derish Patent Attorneys. So I have a very distinguished friend from Derish. So we will be talking about second medical use in pharmaceutical patents. So who is my guest today? My guest is Soleil Çoban from Derish. So I would like to hello to her, and I'm really curious about to talk with her. Soleil, how are you?
Hi, Mustafa. It's nice to see you. Although our audience will only hear us, but it's nice to see you and have a nice talk and good chat. And I hope I had the chance to walk in rain. But right now, Istanbul is currently has a fluctuating weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes rainy. So it's really unpredictable. I guess I will be staying and working more.
Sorry, it is the life, but don't be jealous on me. Okay, after the podcast session, I will go out for walking, but I will be working until the night. So
okay, I'm relieved now. So we are even.
So this is the first time that we are meeting with Soleil, and we haven't met in person, unfortunately, so far. But I hope we will be meeting in person in the upcoming months for a regular meeting or any event. But maybe our audience are curious about why we are talking in English with two Turkish people in the same time. But we want to make this episode available for the broader audience, to the European and United States, to make this topic more visible, because this topic is so nice and so important in the patent business, plus in pharma business. So we will be talking about the second medical use in pharmaceutical patents. So I'm really curious about to talk the details with you. But Soleil, let us to know you a little bit more before starting our conversation. Who is Soleil Çoban? How did you start with the patent business? So just tell us your story about contamination to the patent business.
Okay. I think this is the hardest question of today's podcast. I am one of those persons who doesn't like to talk about herself. But for the sake of this podcast, let me briefly talk about myself and introduce myself. I began my professional career in December 2017 as an associate at Derish. And since 2020, I am working as a senior associate. I started my IP practice with the enforcement of all kinds of IP rights, including trademarks, plant variety, and designs. For the past 2 years, I am only focusing on patent disputes. I am involved in various pharmaceutical court actions currently. I mostly represent multinational companies, which is actually a reflection of the client portfolio of Derish. I have been recently shortlisted for IP Rising Star of the Year award in Europe region by LMG Life Sciences.
Wow, congratulations for this recognition.
Yes. Cross fingers. Let's hope I win.
I hope it will be the same as a recognition for the upcoming years as well.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. And this is the first step, let's say. And in the next years, I am really passionate and really ambitious to become one of the IP leaders of our IP community.
I am also giving this link to the description that is describing your recognition in the Rising Star, so our audience also can check and can see the details. So this is so nice to see to hear about your background, and also maybe do you prefer to talk about a little bit about Derish Patent Attorneys as a company?
Okay, of course. Actually, Derish has a reputation that proceeds itself, but I can briefly, and I would like to briefly discuss Derish as well. It is founded in 1912, and which means that it is older than our Turkish Republic, and it is now being managed by the fourth generation. Derish has established boutique IP company providing services in all areas of intellectual property. And this, of course, includes from patents to plant variety, from enforcement to litigation to prosecution. Today, Derish is one of the largest IP firms in Turkey, and it is internationally recognized among top-tier legal service providers, which plays a leading role in the development of IP landscape in Turkey.
It is amazing to hear that Derish is founded in 1912. It is so
Yes.
amazing. How can it be possible to establish this kind of company before the establishment of the Republic of Turkish
Yes,
Turkey?
that was my first question or my question mark when I was applying for a job in Derish. I was really fascinated to see that it was founded in 1912. I mean, there wasn't even a law, but Derish was acting as a law firm actually.
Unbelievable. When I see an IP company established in my or closest to my birth year, so I said that when I was playing a child in the streets, you are dealing with the IP business, but for Derish, so it is 1912. So what can I
Yes,
say?
exactly.
Okay, Soleil. So our topic is very, very exciting, but also in the same time very hard topic. We will be talking about second medical use in pharma patents. But before starting that topic into the details, to make it to make our audience in a same level knowledge in this
Mhm.
field. So I would like to ask you, could you please, give a introductory information about what is the meaning of second medical use? Why are we talking about this second medical use in pharma patents?
Second medical use can be defined as the discovery or development of a new therapeutic use for an already existing substance or composition. The first type of second medical use that comes to mind, and my personal favorite, is where a drug is initially developed for a particular therapeutic purpose of for a particular disease, but later it is found out that the drug is useful for another indication, as in the case of Bayer's aspirin. As you know, aspirin is a painkiller, and but later it was discovered to be effective against heart attack and stroke due to its blood thinning properties. We also come across second medical uses where the same disease is treated by a new therapeutic method, for example, with a new dosage regime, such as discovering that the substance is more effective and safer if used, let's say, prior to sleep, or used 3 times a day, or used uninterruptedly for 10 days. And this could be a new dosage regime. Or a second medical use may be related to a new mode of administration. For example, use of substance in the form of a capsule instead of using it by injection. And or the second medical use may be related to a new patient group. An already known drug could later be discovered to work better on a specific patient group, such as patients with breast cancer. So the drug would be used in the treatment of breast cancer. Repurposing a drug for a new patient group is also a nod to personalized medicine, which becomes increasingly common in the healthcare sector.
So can I say that there is an originator company in one side, and
Yes.
they developed a new drug molecule for a therapeutic use, for example, heart attack, and then maybe the same company as an originator can develop a new type of therapeutic use of the same molecule, or another company, generic company, or another company than the original originator can also develop a kind of different use. The dosage, they can change the dosage or intake form, blah 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 blah, and then they can use the same molecule but for the different way or different therapeutical use. So they can have to file a new patent application, right? In that point.
Yes, perfectly right. So the originator company, which the second medical use, let's start with first medical use. First medical use usually starts with a discovery or development of a molecule, compound, or substance. So you first find that molecule, and this is your first medical use. You patent this. And afterwards, you discover a new dosage regime, and maybe you discover that it's safe to use in another disease. And as you said, the second medical use is not obliged to be found by the originator or inventor of the first medical use. So the second medical use can be developed by a totally different person by a third party. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the situation with aspirin. Bayer found the molecule of aspirin, and later the discovery that it can be used in heart attack or stroke is found by a third party, and I think it was a university.
Yeah, this is the one of the famous one, as we can
Yes,
count as a second medical use.
yes.
So it is so clear that the second medical use patents can be developed by the originator or another companies. Of course, in Turkey, unfortunately, we don't have any drug discovery yet. Yet, so we are always talking about the others' patents, right?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, we have very famous inventors. For example, Miss Özlem Türeci and her husband, who had developed a COVID vaccine and were actually, I think they were nominated for Nobel as well. So, I mean, we have really groundbreaking inventors. This could be another famous example, a beautiful invention.
Exactly. Yeah. You mean that the other Turkish people are living in other countries? Of course, we are so proud of them. So they save the world.
Yeah.
Uh, that's very 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 hard job. Okay, so we cleared the meaning of the second medical use and why we need this second medical use. You mentioned about the aspirin, which is one of the most famous second medical use patents in the pharma industry. Is there any other examples that we can show as a famous second medical use patents in the world?
Of course. There's also Viagra, another well-known example. Viagra was originally developed to treat cardiovascular diseases, but later it was discovered to be effective against erectile dysfunction. Botox is another example. It was originally used for treating muscle pain, muscle spasms, and now it is used for reducing wrinkles. And I think there are other 6 or 7 therapeutic uses of Botox. And numerous potential medical uses for marijuana have been identified. These include the treatment of chronic pain, vomiting caused by chemotherapy, and epilepsy. And developing marijuana for different indications would definitely qualify as a second medical use.
Wow, there are lots of examples that we already known in the market.
Yeah, we never pay attention sometimes, right?
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So we can say that the inventors, the originator companies, and the other companies or the university researchers are trying to find out new possible second or further medical uses for existing molecules. Right? There are always chance to find out new ways.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
So the question in my mind that okay, we have the first medical use and the second medical use, but I cannot structure in my mind why do we need the second medical use or when do we need a second medical?
As per my search for this sake of this podcast, I try to find some numerical data to explain the efficacy of second medical use. We always know that second medical use, we always hear that second medical use is cheaper to develop and it is faster to develop. But what are the actual numbers, right, to impress our audience? I found out that second medical use enables a reduction of costs by 60% compared to new drug discovery. It takes around 4 years, whereas new drug discovery takes around 10 to 12 years. And there's always a risk with new drug development because a molecule which seems really promising can later be discovered fatal. And this could happen at very late stages of clinical trials. This means that money and time go down the drain. With the second medical use, it is aimed to use the full therapeutic potential of known drugs and to maximize the benefits obtained from a drug. And it provides incentive for the development of solutions for unmet medical needs.
Wow, 12 years, too many years and too much
Too
time.
many years, too many
Uh,
years, too much time, too much money.
exactly, it's all about money, all about research and development, investment decision. So it makes it very very essential. So I think that this topic that you answered it brings us to the global health crisis. So we recently have a COVID health crisis, and do you think that these research periods of this kind of medical uses are helpful for the discovery of the COVID related, the treatments?
This is a really good point because COVID was one of the times that we had firsthand experience how to use second medical patents or how to repurpose already known drugs. And in the COVID pandemic, the exploration of second medical uses has played a crucial role. As you know, time is of the essence in infectious diseases. And as I said, it takes around 10 to 12 years to develop a drug. And no one has the time to wait for 10 years for a cure in a health crisis caused by an extremely infectious disease. So the response against this pandemic must be rapid. One of the most immediate strategies in responding a health crisis is to identify existing drugs that may be effective against the new diseases, which can significantly expedite the development timeline and reduce costs. As the safety profiles and efficacy profiles of first medical use is already established, instead of starting from scratch with entirely new trials, previous trials are adapted and focused on the emerging needs. This approach enables faster evaluation and finding potential treatments and reducing resources. For example, remdesivir, I'm sure you heard of remdesivir. It was a known molecule and it was used for treating various viral infections caused by RNA viruses. As COVID was an RNA virus, remdesivir was screened for possible use in the treatment of COVID, and it was indeed discovered that remdesivir can reduce the recovery time of COVID patients. And additionally, as you know, before a drug can enter into market, it has to receive market authorization from regulatory authorities, which review safety, efficacy, and security of a drug based on clinical trial results. Approval process may take months and years. In Turkey's case, it takes years. But in the case of second medical use, this was a more accelerated process because the first medical uses were found to be safe, efficient, and secure.
So in that manner, we can say that if the world will face a new health crisis with new virus or new bacteria that we need to tackle with, of course, God saves. But the first approach by the originator companies like BioNTech, Roche, Pfizer, or the researchers in the universities, they are eager to find out the existing molecules if we can treat or we can if we can solve this new health problem, new viruses with the existing medical use, right?
Right. Yeah. I think when faced with such a pandemic or a health crisis, I mean, I think that all of the investors or pharma companies are turning back to their granted patents and struggling to find which one to develop to cure the upcoming medical need.
Exactly. So this is their common approach for developing second medical uses. So I think we can also talk about the IP legal requirements of the
Mhm.
second medical use. So
Mhm.
I'm really curious about the recognition of the second medical use. So I would like to ask you that which national and international laws, including the EPC and others, accept the second medical use?
Yes, as you said, first and foremost, the EPC allows the patentability of second medical use claims. But it was not always like this before the EPC 2000 entered into force. So during the validity of the EPC 1973, second medical use claims could not be patented. But with the enactment of the EPC 2000, this has changed. Now, where a substance or composition is already known for one medical use, it may still be patentable for second and further medical uses, provided that it is novel and inventive. Second medical use patents granted by the EPO are validated in Turkey without an interruption from the national office. But regarding national patents, so the patents that are filed directly with the Turkish National Office, well, the Turkish IP code is actually silent on the patentability of second medical use patents. But there has been a decision of the Turkish Civil General Assembly of the Supreme Court in 2021, and this decision was related to a European patent. And as I said, second medical use is patentable as per EPC 2000. And the decision of the General Assembly basically stated that a European patent for a second medical use is validated in Turkey. And the fact that a European patent will be protected in Turkey, while a national invention will not, will lead to legal insecurity and inequality. Therefore, although the Turkish IP code is silent, national second medical use patents are also patentable as per this decision of the Civil General Assembly.
So can we say that if I'm a IP manager of the pharmaceutical company in Turkey, if I have discovered a second medical use that can be patentable, so should I apply to the EP, right, rather than the national one?
I mean, it depends. I think you would want to use your discovery, your invention in other jurisdictions as well, in other countries. So my first instinct would be to file an application with the EPO in order to validate it in different countries, including Germany.
As you mentioned that there is a difference between the validated Turkish patents coming from the EPC is different. It's okay, it's patentable, but the national patent in the second medical use is not patentable, right?
It's actually the court is silent about that, so it doesn't say it could be patentable or it cannot be patented. But as we understand from the decision of the Civil General Assembly, it finds that it is an unequal circumstance if we allow a European patent to be validated, but we do not allow a national patent just because our code is silent about that. So both are patentable. It's safe to say both are patentable if you apply to a Turkish National Office or if you apply to the EPC, both are patentable.
I see. I see. So okay, so it seems that there is no differences between the
There is
validated
no
EPA
difference
and
between, no,
that's
no, no.
okay. Now it's clear. All right, that's
Mhm.
good. That's good. So we clear that between the European patent validated in Turkey and the national patent. But regarding the jurisdictions, um, in terms of the different laws in different jurisdictions, in which jurisdictions is the patent protection for the second medical uses lagging? I'm curious about what are the consequences for global health if there is a lag?
As far as which countries are lagging, I think India and Argentina and some other South American countries do not allow them. I think China also does not allow them. But I mean, I always say if clients ask me this question, I would say you should consult with a national attorney. But this is what I hear from our IP community, that these countries do not allow them. I hope they have changed their regulations in the meantime. But as far as the consequences go, restrictions on patent protection for second medical uses may discourage pharmaceutical companies from investing in research and development in that country for repurposing or drug repurposing or finding new treatments. And this may contribute to global health inequalities and widen the gap between different countries' access to healthcare. This would be total ban from their access, or this could be a prolonged access to a second medical use drug. And delays in obtaining patents or uncertainty regarding patentability, of course, may prolong the time for effective therapies to reach the patients.
Do you think that is it surprising that the China has no second medical use?
No comment.
Okay, good answer. Good answer. Thank you so much. So as far as I know, that you are very experienced on the litigation side. So I am also very curious about or an experience about the patent licensing. So in terms of the commercialization side in the market, so if any competitor, any third party, if they infringe the originator's molecule patent or the second use medical patent, do you think that the infringement detection methodologies or the enforcement strategies are the same for the first medical use and the second medical use? Is there any differences between two of them?
Definitely not the same. It's so much harder to enforce a second medical use patents. And according to the Turkish IP code, and every unauthorized production, sale, distribution, commercial activity regarding a patented second medical use constitutes patent infringement. And we have court actions where we successfully enforce second medical use patents, but sometimes it may not be easy to provide infringement for the patent holder. In contrast to first medical use patents, which are usually a molecule, a compound, are infringed by the generic company as soon as the product is manufactured, right? So when they use this compound, so when they use this first medical use, when they manufacture, they are infringing. But in contrast to first medical use, second medical use may not be carried out by the generic company directly when there is, for example, skinny labeling. It rests a burden of proof on the patent holder. And I want to explain this based on an example from a foreign decision, from a case in the Netherlands between Novartis and Sun Pharmaceuticals. In this case, the second medical use patent of Novartis protected the use of zoledronic acid in the preparation of medicament for the treatment of osteoporosis. And Sun Pharmaceuticals, which is the generic company, launched its generic drug containing zoledronic acid, but for the treatment of Paget's disease. And here, the Paget's disease is not patented because it has expired. But Sun's drug is being used for osteoporosis as well. So Sun uses this drug for osteoporosis, which is patented, and also for Paget's disease. And now Novartis has the burden of proof to show that Sun Pharmaceuticals infringes the second medical use patent because it is being prescribed for osteoporosis as well. This rests significant burden of proof on the patent holder, and especially if the SMPC or the patient information leaflet of the generic drug does not reveal any reference to the patented use. So Novartis actually have to prove that the prescriptions say that zoledronic acid of some pharmaceutical would be used for osteoporosis, which is really significant burden of proof on Novartis.
Oh, it's a very good example to explain this issue. I'm just curious about that. What is the year of this case? It's nearby?
The decision actually has been rendered in this case, and the Court of The Hague has found Sun Pharmaceuticals liable. And here the court said Sun had not made sufficient effort to prevent use of its product for osteoporosis. Sun was familiar with Dutch practice, and in the Dutch practice, the medicinal product is prescribed to the patient without mentioning the indication. So in the prescription, there is no indication of osteoporosis or Paget's disease, and there's only zoledronic acid. And there's also, unlike Turkish practice, there's also only zoledronic acid in the prescription. You know, in Turkish practice, the prescription says take aspirin, right? The doctor directly writes the trade name, brand of the drug. But in some jurisdictions, the doctors only write the active ingredient, which in this case, it is zoledronic acid. And the court said you should have known that this is not only going to be used for Paget's disease, and it is going to be used for osteoporosis as well. And as far as I understand, and the Paget's disease, the number of patients for Paget's disease is far less than the patients for osteoporosis. And the court also said you should have deduced from your sales that this is not only being used for Paget's, right? So here the court lowered the burden of proof for Novartis and rested an objective liability on Sun Pharmaceutical. And I think if this case was in Turkey, as per the general rules of law, we would go to the objective liability rule, and we would say that the accused generic company had not taken sufficient precautions to avoid patent infringements, and therefore such a generic company should be held liable for patent infringement, and because that generic company should have known that its drug would have been prescribed or distributed for the patented use.
What a complexity.
What a complexity.
Exactly. I think we should give the link of this case if it is available in the internet. Maybe I can find it, or you can help me to find the link, and then
I will provide you some links definitely. Hmm.
So we should put the link in the description so the audience can read the details. I think this is so exciting, and as you mentioned that I was not aware that of course in Turkey the doctors are writing the brand name of the drug, right?
In Turkey, the doctors write directly the name of the drug.
But the other countries, especially now, I am remembering that in Germany, the doctors writing the molecule name and the ingredient rather than the trademark.
Yes, they write active ingredients, and so when you go to the pharmacy, they have different kinds of drugs that involve such active ingredients. So they are free to dispense you one of them.
Interesting. Is there any particular reason in terms of the IP law why the doctors are just writing the molecule names?
I think that is related to something industrial, health industry, but I don't think it's related to IP. I'm actually not sure of the reasons of this practice.
All right, all right. Maybe I just think about that. Maybe the doctors are trying to avoid themselves to be infringed.
No, I don't think so.
No,
No,
I'm just joking.
I think it might be related to. I mean, lots of countries, including Turkey, would like and the governments actually incentivize and use of generic drugs because they are cheaper, and the pay of the government due to the security is lower for those drugs. This practice might be related to that. So this gives the pharmacy to the freedom to give the patient the generic drug, which is cheaper for both the patient and for the government itself.
So it is almost 45 minutes. I think we, before closing our podcast session, for better understanding of our audience, maybe I can ask you what is your favorite, what are the favorite takeaways from this case, from this topic as a second medical use in pharma?
First of all, first takeaway should be second medical use claims are patentable in Turkey, and they are also enforceable in Turkey. And my favorite takeaway would be second medical use patents are always really fun to both discuss and enforce. As you can see, there are lots of examples of them. And in my practice, day-to-day practice, I am litigating a couple of them. And they're also very fun to explain because they are in our lives, right? When you say some molecule and when you try to protect some molecule, it's easier to enforce. Yes, that's for sure. But a second medical use, as in the name, it is related to a use, and you can always find relatable stories to impress both the court and the court-appointed experts.
That's a really good summary of the whole podcast session. I also would like to put the link of your article, which is written in the lexology.com. I think it's
Oh,
also a
yeah.
very, very comprehensive article. And then our audience can also read that article. So I'm giving the link of your article in the description.
Yes, that article involves different examples from different jurisdictions regarding the enforcement of second medical use patents, and some relatable examples for our audience. And I think that would be really useful.
Perfect. Soleil, I think we can close the session. I think we talked lots of subtopics of the main topic
Yeah.
of our podcast session. Thank you so much for your valuable input, the comments and insights about this topic. I hope our audience has also enjoyed with our conversation. But before closing that, I really like your name. What is the meaning of your name? Soleil. I haven't heard it before.
It means sun in French.
Sun in French.
In French, yeah.
Wow, that's super. super nice and super exciting, and it's a good icebreaker when you meet someone.
Exactly right. I mean, our French clients really love my name. They find it really relatable and it's easy to pronounce. And considering that my first name is Ushul, it's really challenging for our foreign clients to pronounce.
Soleil, thank you so much. I hope we can meet in person in the upcoming weeks and
Same.
months. If you don't have any remarks before closing, I will close the session.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for your questions. And the questions were particularly particularly interesting for me because it doesn't just only involve enforcement or patentability of secret medical use, but also its effect on health crises or its use and or its purpose. So thank you for bringing that aspect in our podcast.
Yeah, I just want to make it more broader, not just in the IP law, but the global innovation ecosystem. So thank you so
Yeah,
much again
thank
for
you.
your answers. See you then, Soleil. I'm closing the session.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. So we finished our session with Soleil Choban from Derish, and we have talked about the second medical use in pharmaceutical patents. I hope you enjoyed as well. I did, and you know that as a reminder, you can listen our podcast sessions and on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. And I hope to see you again in our upcoming episodes. Have a nice day. Bye bye.